Hello there, good evening. This is Star Today. You're welcome. My name is Tutu Adan. So let's see the stories making the headlines this hour. Coming up in this broadcast, Child's Rights International calls for reforms in exit regimes in SHS following rising concerns of deaths in schools due to negligence.
It's a regime to maintain a certain level of discipline. So we expect that those things would also be taken into consideration when they issue the exit, especially where the school knows that they owe children the duty of care.
Also in this broadcast, Colleges of Education Teachers Association (CETAG) declares a luta continua as they say they are not bothered with government's directive to freeze their July salaries.
For us as an association, we do not see the seizure of July salary as anything that bothered us so much. We saw it as a trickle from somewhere, a needless trickle, because we are on a legal strike.
The Union of Ghana Students in NOGS have described the directive to freeze salaries of CETAG members as unnecessary.
GSEC made a release that we should freeze all the accounts. We said it's very unnecessary to freeze accounts of these teachers at this crucial moment that we are dealing with a substantive matter. So we are calling on as soon as possible call on a swift solution to the issue. We've been dealing with the issue for the past 1 month.
We will be live with a labor analyst and also hear from the Teacher Trainee Association for more on these developments. And also in this broadcast, a group calling itself Group Stand for Peace, Growth and Development condemns a session by EC chairperson that political parties should accept outcome of 2024 general election.
The outcome of elections have been the major cause of political unrest. Therefore, they need to ensure that the outcome of the 2024 general election will be accepted by all the parties involved without any question.
There are details of these and many other stories in this 1 hour, 30 minutes broadcast. Do stay with us.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM.
Thank you for your company this evening. Now, the non-governmental human rights organization, Child's Rights International, has expressed concern about the rate of death in senior high boarding schools due to medical negligence of school authorities. This comes as the family of a third-year science student of the Ghana National College who died upon being admitted at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital on July 6. Petitioned Child Rights International to investigate the circumstances leading to the death of Theophilus and Sam. The deceased family suspects Theophilus died due to delay in medical intervention and lack of proper health care facility in his school. Here is the family spokesperson, Lucy Kwenu, a week ago.
Teacher, no housemaster attended to this boy. So the parents came all the way from Takwa to the place. So it was when the parents came, then the father called the PA chairman, because that is the only way on the platform that you can call the PA chairman. So he called the PA chairman and asked him, please, is that how your school behaved? My son has been in the hospital for more than 3 days and no teacher, no housemaster has attended to my boy. It was then that the PA chairman called the headmaster. And he became so agitated and he called the father that, why have you reported me to the PA chairman? Is it a report? My son is lying now in the hospital. For 3 days, no teacher or head teacher had visited the son. I am calling you to inform you. And you are telling me that I'm reporting you to the PTA chairman. Is that how a school behaves? Is that how a school behaves? I'm continuing.
You just heard the family spokesperson, Lucy Queno, and the family has gone ahead to petition Child Rights International. Let's go over the phone lines and speak to an auntie of the deceased, Sarah Mensah-Bonsu, for more on this development. Thank you so much, madam, for your time this evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Absolutely, and my condolences for your loss. Now, what exactly transpired in the school?
Okay, thank you. Theophilo's answer is a third-year science student at the Ghana National College. He called on the 28th of June that he wasn't well. But the mother, he called the mother, so the mother asked that he come home. But he said he have mock to write, and all that he said, for exit, you don't know. Mommy, you don't know. So, okay, then go to the infirmary. He went there. There was nobody to attend to. So call the mother again. And the mother said, first, he said he don't have mock to write, and there is no infirmary assistant to attend to him. Then he has to send him some money to buy drugs. But he called someone who has been assisting the mother. So the mom is not on their school platform. So he doesn't know any number of the school administration, whether being the housemaster or any teacher, because the father has been dealing with the school. So he called someone to assist him buy medicine for him. He went to buy the medicine, all right, but as to how the medicine was taken, because we weren't there, we cannot tell much about that. But according to the boy, the medicine was given to him on Sunday because the person the medicine got to said he went for funeral for the Friday, Saturday, so it's the Sunday that the medicine was given to him. So on the Monday, because he said he wants to write the mock and come home, they started the mock, all right. We are not there though. But according to the students that called the mother again, that Theo has vomited several times during the mock and he's very weak. None teacher, no housemaster, no teacher called the parent that something of sort is happening, but rather the students call. So the mother then called the father, but because of communication, he quickly called someone he can intervene on her behalf. So she called someone to step in for her. So the person went to the housemaster, all right, and then told the housemaster, Theophilus' ancestor's mother has called that he's not well and he has not been sent to the hospital. So he should come so that the boy can be sent to the hospital. The housemaster never even bothered to ask or call any parent, but released the boy to the helper to be sent to the hospital. Whether the student was sent to the hospital, whether they go there or not, none of the housemaster bothered to even follow up. So that was on the Monday evening. And in the course of Theo being weak, the students informed us when we went to the hospital because we saw the forehead with some bruises and very severe. So when we asked, he said he was very weak and he collapsed from their staircase and fell. So that is why we are seeing that bruises on the forehead. But then we had already sent him to the hospital with a view to take medication. So the time we got to the hospital, that was a Monday, 1st July. tear never opened the eye. He couldn't talk. He couldn't do anything. When you asked him something, he was just lying. So he couldn't do anything. So the second day the mother came from, that was the 2nd July morning, the mother came from Takwa in the morning. So in the afternoon thereabout, the father also came from Nzima. So the first day, the second day, so the Wednesday, the father said, but this national college and authority, is that how they do their work? You have sent a boy to the hospital and nobody has shown concern. So the father took the phone, scroll, and then fortunately through the PA platform, he got one number being the chair of the PA. So he called the PA and then petitioned that, PA, is that how Ghana National School runs their school? My son has been on admission for 3 days and no one has even come to check his whereabouts. So the PA said, what? Then this, no, it's not fair, so let me call the school. So then he called
Madam, before you talk about what happened in the school, if I understand you correctly, Theophilus complained about being ill on 28th June, which was on a Friday, and the nearest time that he received medical attention was on July 30, which was on a Sunday.
On the Sunday, exactly.
I see.
He said, because he said, Mommy, you don't know for exact, you don't know, but we are not in the school.
I mean, what did he say about the exact situation exactly? Was he refused exats?
We cannot talk about that one because when we went to ask, there were no any concrete answer for whether the exat was given him or not. But all that Theophilus said, Mommy, for exat, you don't know. Mommy, so for exat, I don't know. I think you should come home. Go and take exat and come home and tell me I don't know. And you're also saying that you have mock to write, so then go and buy this medicine. So through the assistance of one person in the school, he went to the pharmacy, called, and then, sometimes they can be of help. So he explained whatever was worrying him. And the medicine was given all right, but it wasn't given him till the Sunday. Because he went to the infirmary, there was nobody to attend to, and that one, we are not in the school, so we cannot talk about that much. I think it needs to be investigated. So
but the school didn't say anything as to why there was nobody at the sick bay or the infirmary between 28th and 30th of June.
No, as we speak, no. So, as I was saying, for that one, no. So as I was saying, on the Wednesday that the father petitioned, the headmaster rather called the father that he has reported him to the PA and chair. And he said, Master, why are you talking like this? Because my son, just come and see the condition in which this boy is in. Just come to the hospital and see, and I am complaining. I said, I've reported you. So it turned to some misunderstanding, and then none of them understood each other, so the call ended. The headmaster called several. The father couldn't pick, but he rather used a different line, and the father responded, and he said, please come down, I'm sorry, and then so I will let somebody come. So that time it was around 12:30. That's around that time, between 10 to 12. That's the one of the housemasters came there.
Madam
So yes, I'm listening.
I also know that the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, that is Mr. Eric Nkansa, has been to your family to pay a visit. What exactly did he tell you? What assurances did he give you?
Okay, so the Director General came to the family to give condolences and inform us that they have constituted a committee to investigate into the matter. So you hear from them.
But if they have constituted a committee to investigate the matter, why did you go further to petition child's rights? Is it that you don't trust the Ghana Education Service?
Oh no, not that. Not that. So, as I was talking about. So, after the housemaster has been there, I think unless I explain that is how come you understand me well. Mm-hmm. So on the third day, that was the 3rd July, Theo was transferred or referred to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. That one of the housemasters came. He said he was not the one that released, so he was going to send the person that released him. So the second person came. Yes, he was the person that released the son. And he was so sorry because when you see the condition of this boy, sister, you can't say anything. Theo was very sick. And upon all the lab tests that we did, they said malaria. So why should we sit for malaria to kill a boy like this, a brilliant student like this? So on the 3rd of July that we were transferred to the teaching hospital, Cape Coast, one of them came. He even assisted. We transfer him to the ambulance to be sent to the teaching hospital.
Sorry, when you say one of them came, do you mean a student or one of the teaching assistants?
No, one of the housemasters called Mr. Queen.
Okay.
P.K. Queen. So he later came and confirmed that he was the one that released. So we questioned him severally, but he couldn't answer. So then we had to refer this boy to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, the intensive unit care. So we sent him there. That was the 3rd, 4th, 5th Saturday that he passed on. So in the morning that this boy passed on, I rather called the regional director of education, Central Region. That, sir, Ghana Education Service, being one of the institutions under Ghana Education Service, being Ghana National College, has not dealt with us well at all, because one of their students has been very ill. None of the teachers showed concern. So even the writing of the mock, this boy vomited 3 times. None of the invigilators even bother to send him to the hospital. So this man quickly, for about 45 minutes, he has been there. So he came and then consoled us with one of his lawyers. So we were going up and down with this man. And as we speak, that Saturday, no headmaster, because on that evening Saturday, none of the housemasters came there before Theo passed on. The housemaster was there on Wednesday, the Thursday, and the Friday. So by the Saturday, he didn't come. So it took the intervention of the regional director of education that calms us down. So we were just hoping that something fruitful will come out of the intervention, okay? So on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that we have to transfer the body to the mortuary because of the situation, he was bombed. We didn't hear anything. We were just waiting for maybe something. We wanted to hear from the school. So we were just silent. We went for the cause of death. And even the cause of death, there was a lot of issues that we cannot talk about. So it took the regional director intervention for us to even get to the cause of death. So for Mr. Esuman, being the regional director of education, helped the family in a way. So after the deceased was sent to the mortuary, we went to the school to pick up the items from the school. And during the conversation, something went wrong, so the family got angry, very angry. We just got up and then we just packed our items and went home. So from that Monday up to the Thursday that we did the press conference, no school authority even called us to find out whether how we are even doing. Not even, no condolences message. So that is how come we even went that since they are not helping, then the Republic of Ghana should help us seek justice for our boy.
So that is the reason you petitioned Child Rights International.
Exactly. Because we are not getting help from anyone. So then we petitioned Child Health Rights, and then the chief executive said, oh, we should calm down and leave everything with them. So now we don't have much to say. All we have to say is the information or everything has been sent or forwarded to them. So they are in charge.
So Child Rights International has assured you of seeking justice for Theophilus. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much. We will be following up and updating our listeners on the latest with this development. Once again, my condolences to you and your family. Okay. That was Madam Sarah Bonsu, a relative of Theophilus Ansah, who unfortunately lost his life in school. Now, Child Rights International, the body that has been petitioned, have expressed concerns over the incident, highlighting the disturbing trend of the reported cases of child facilities in the schools. Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, called for essential policy reforms to enhance welfare of students, upgrade and medical facilities, and modify the exit regime system in secondary schools. He spoke to the media in a briefing.
There is no clear policy and guidelines regarding the operationalization of the exit system. So the issuance of those has just been at the discretion of the system as to determine what issue that they want to issue the exit on, and on what they can refuse, and it has become a discretionary power that they do exercise in the lives of our children, and we think that that should not happen. It's a regime to regulate the conduct of children. It's a regime to maintain a certain level of discipline. So we expect that those things would also be taken into consideration when they issue the exit, especially where the school knows that they owe children the duty of care. So you do not use your own discretion to determine how to issue exit, but we feel that the issuance of exit to have a regulation, and there's the circumstances under which those things must be issued, must cut across. We also realize that sometimes when students go there to access medical care, they don't meet anybody there. They meet their own colleagues who are manning the place. And their own colleagues, they are not professionals to be able to know what is happening. So sometimes they dispense certain drugs to their own colleagues to take without any medical direction. And for me, that is dangerous, and our system should be able to look at that and bring it to a level where it can protect the interest of our children. We want to say that, yes, the call that we have received from the family, we will definitely take the steps that is needed to protect the welfare of our children and to make sure that such things do not happen in our secondary schools.
Well, you just heard Mr. Bright Appiah, the Executive Director of Child Rights International. Let's go over the phone lines and actually have a conversation with him now. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Now, this would be the third time that such a case is happening, the first two being in February and this very latest one. What has been your what is the information you have gathered concerning these medical negligence in schools?
Well, it's a number of factors contribute to that. One has to do with the number of students teachers are managing in the school, the availability of facilities that students can go to seek for medical advice, and even the absence of the personnel that needs to manage those facilities. And then also the issue of the issuance of exit, all combined resulted into this kind of issues that we see. And what makes it worse is that though the school system do not even pay attention to it, the issuance of the exit is always done at the latter end of the whole things. So it makes it very difficult for children to recover, especially when it comes to medical conditions and all that. So all the three, you realize that the certain processes were not followed, and people do not show concern in dealing with this matter that resulted into the death of these children. And the surprising aspect of it is that the condition that led to their death are something that can be prevented, and that is the unfortunate aspect of it.
When you say that you are calling for exact reforms in the country, what exactly are you on the lookout for?
Well, the first thing that we are looking at has to do with the consistency that must be demonstrated in all schools to follow a certain procedure in issuing exit. Because our current system, exit is being issued on a discretionary basis. And it's unfortunate that people, our school system, should use individual discretion to determine who should give exit to and under what conditions should that exit be given. Then again, the rules must also be established clearly to know the circumstances under which we would give exit, looking at the position of the law when it comes to the duty of care that teachers owe or the managers of the school owe children or students who participate in that environment. So once we are able to achieve that, we should have consistency that should be demonstrated by all schools so that we know that if something comes up, we'll know how to deal with it and then see how best the issues of children will be well placed in that context.
Now, let's talk about the sudden death of Theophilus, the reason for which we are primarily having this conversation. The family, we understand, has petitioned you. Are you looking at engaging the school authorities, or you're looking at taking a legal action to address their concerns?
Well, we've had a series of discussions with the family. We've stated their position, and also at the background, I've done our own investigation as to the position of the school. But as it is now, we feel that the alternative for us is to go to court for the court to give a proper interpretation as to what led to the death of Theophilus. And again, the family is so much interested in ensuring that we will look at it from an angle where other students will not suffer as a result of negligence on the part of the school. So for us, the alternative available to us is to go to court and let the court determine the way forward. So that is exactly what we'll be doing.
But are you also looking at engaging school authorities? Because I spoke to the auntie of Theophilus, and she did indicate that the primary reason why they're petitioning your organization is because the school has been silent ever since the boy died.
Yes, and that is the issue, because if, as a school, the best interest of children is paramount to you, and such things happen, you should be able to take steps to even show concern. But look at all the processes. You realize that the school is so, holding a certain position which do not really defend the best interest of children. So we are not looking at this issue only in relation to the family, but we are looking at the broader context where we need to take certain steps that will protect the interests of other children who participate in our school system. So it is true that the school did not show concern, but if you do the assessment of the circumstances that led to the death of Theophilus, it's uncalled for, and we think that something needs to be done. And we've had discussion with the family. We have agreed on the position that we want to take, and it's not far from what I've shared with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bright Apiab is the Executive Director of Child's Rights International.
Start today. First, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Star Today here on Star FM. Let's do some education now, because the Union of Ghana Students have described directive by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to freeze July salaries of members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG, as unnecessary. Now, Fate of about 6 weeks old industrial action by SETAG members is to be determined at a council meeting scheduled for tomorrow. This follows yesterday's meeting with the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, after an earlier directive to freeze July salaries of the striking teachers, describing their strike as illegal. Yesterday's meeting with the Education Ministry ended without a clear roadmap on the way forward, even though both parties noted that the meeting was fruitful with giant strides made. However, SETAG President Prince Obenhima noted the future of their industrial action, which began on June 14, can only be determined by the National Council. The Vice President of SETAG, John Newton Kumi, has been speaking to my colleague, Joshua Kojo-Mensah.
Yesterday, we had a meeting with a team of government representatives, and I must admit that the Ministry of Education, GTEC, FUSAC, Ministry of Labor Relations, and all others that matter were there. And we had fruitful deliberations, as you have earlier on indicated. However, we are only representatives of our constituents across the 46 colleges of education. So whatever information we have, being the result of that meeting we had yesterday, we need to meet the council of our association. Then after that, we will know what will happen. And so yesterday, the meeting ended around 8 p.m. In fact, it was late. We had to travel throughout the night, and so we have scheduled a meeting for tomorrow, not today. We have rather scheduled a meeting for tomorrow. So by 9, we will meet online, and then whatever the council decides is what we shall go by.
Quite interesting there, but we've had some deliberations. I mean, one of the key things that was topical in all of this was the fact that your July salaries, according to a directive from the ministry through GTEC, was to be frozen. Did that come up in the meeting yesterday?
Well, for us as an association, we do not see the seizure of July salary as anything that bothered us so much. We saw it as a trickle from somewhere, a needless trickle, because we are on a legal strike. So whoever is saying that they want to seize our salaries because we are on an illegal strike, at the right time, that person will have to prove to the masses and to the world. So we are not bothered. So we went into that meeting focusing not on the salary, but on the real issues for which we were invited. So for us, we are going to meet tomorrow. And whether they are going to pay the July salary or not, we don't care. We will decide, and then the world will hear of what we decide on tomorrow after our meeting.
So for the purposes of clarity, as it stands now that you have yet to get into that National Council meeting, the strike still holds?
It holds seriously. And 2 days ago, when they issued that threat of seizure of our salaries, we also aggravated our strike to level 2. So the level 2 we are now indicates that no college tutor will attend any service that we have been providing. Being on strike, that we have withdrawn teaching and related activities does not take the teacher out of job. The teacher was still at home. We were rendering services, and so we have now withdrawn all the services so that we see how the colleges will run without us.
And that message was sent clearly. You think that that message has been sent clearly to the government, for which reason that the concerns you had earlier will definitely be met?
Oh, sure. This message was sent clearly, and they had it before we met yesterday. And so behind everybody's mind, they knew that from today, if it is graduation, you don't expect tutors to come and sit there in convocation. We are on strike because we have further aggravated it as a result of their unlawful threat. So out of now, it remains a threat. If salaries are paid and we are not paid, then where the legal remedies are, we shall seek them and we shall apply the legal remedies to whatever is happening. As it is now, SETAG strike still holds, and no tutor is expected to perform any activity until further notice.
Now, one of the key words we've heard so far is that the meeting yesterday was fruitful. Is it the case that government has softened its stance and you are going to get migrated onto the lecturer level as your colleagues in the other traditional universities?
Well, for now, I will say that it's one of the issues that brought us to the table there. Yes, they are now coming down and we are also meeting them. So we want to see what our council will advise on the progress made so far. If council thinks that the progress made so far sit well with them, and so they will want to hold on or suspend for some few weeks to see what will happen, fine. If the council says no, then we will continue. But as I speak, our strike is still in force, full force, level 2, no more 1.
You just listened to John Newton Kumi in a conversation with my colleague Joshua Kojo-Mensah earlier. Let's go over the phone lines and engage labor analyst Dr. Austin Game, who has chastised the government for what he describes as poor negotiations, and he's live with us now. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Now, it's been 41 days since SETAG decided to lay down their tools. What is your assessment of the impasse between SETAG and the government?
Well, thank you. I think this is, generally speaking, this is about leadership problem. If you're managing people, it's different from allocating resources, whether in agri or finance or roads or whatever. People just don't talk. Money may not talk. Anything. But people, when you offend them, when they don't trust you, they will give you a hell of a problem. And that's exactly what it is. So I hope and pray that today and tomorrow's government will learn their lessons from some of these things. It will not be repetitive of these simple things that ought to be done. I don't know the reason why government as an employer would want to wait and be pressurized before they be running helter-skelter to find a solution to something that should have been done away with long. So this should be a bitter lesson, though. I pity the students. I'm very sorry for them. But that's what the employer has visited on them. That's just about it.
So essentially, you're saying that the government failed to manage both parties. That is the reason we find ourselves here.
Of course, that's what it is, because it's two people. The people, the SETAG people, the union for that matter, have been very reasonably patient. And they stayed off on this issue for how long? More than a year. More than a year. They went to arbitration. The award was given. They may not like it. The employer may not like it all, but that is the ruling. But if you chose that path, because when you go for arbitration, you must have a winner and a loser. If you go to the court, you must get a winner and a loser. If you go for a civilized way of negotiating or mediating, you will have a solution that satisfies both of you. They didn't choose that path. What they chose is to be aggressive on one another. These people have been patient. It took you went to arbitration, they've lost something, they've gained some, both of you. Go and implement the award, and you are reneging on it. These are the consequences you get.
A few days ago, specifically on Monday, the government gave a directive that the salaries, July salaries specifically, of SETAG members should be frozen. What is your assessment of that directive by the government?
Well, it's about deepening the crisis. They are deepening the crisis. Can they do away with these teachers from 47 different colleges of education? The answer is no, they cannot. So the best thing to do is to sit with them, have a conversation, and come to conclusion as to what to do. but trying to be very aggressive and be using coercion, power play, is 17th century approach. Nobody uses that again. Those who are using it, they are entitled, but it's 17th century approach. We are in 21st century. We have a compelling and an imperative injunction on us to manage people prudently and make sure you deliver to the satisfaction of the people who put you in office. Not to yield to pressure yourself, but to manage things prudently. This one, I can't see it like that. You know, why now the rush? When Labour Commission, and I was present, when Labour Commission directed them to go and implement the award based upon their own audits that they made. So what stopped them from doing it? You want to interpret an arbitration award? They are not entitled to it. Not even the Attorney General can interpret it. The body that gave the award is the only one, even they will not interpret. They will clarify what they meant by ABCD. That's why normally arbitration award goes with a reasoned kind of award. So you know what it is. And it's very clear. I've seen what it is. I'm a practitioner of it. And that is it. I think they've made mistakes. Government made grievous mistake in this matter. The teachers are not to be blamed.
So yesterday, SETAG met with the Education Ministry, and even though the Vice President did admit that the meeting was somehow fruitful, they are still a bit indecisive as to when to return to the classroom. Ultimately, what should be the way forward?
Well, I am also equally optimistic that meeting, from the report I've been gathering, went reasonably well. Some offers were made by now the government, the employer, and the leadership of SETAG cannot unilaterally agree to anything without consulting their constituents. I think that's what they are seeking to do now. Today is Thursday. Hopefully tomorrow, latest maybe Monday, they should be able to give a response to the employer as to the outcome of their constituents' concern about the implementation. You know, the employer for a very long time, particularly in this case, have demonstrated a certain lackadaisical approach to the matter that made the teachers feel troubled and took a negative perception about the employer and their behavior. And that is the reason why they are acting the way they are acting. But I want to join hands with the employer government and on my own behalf, and looking at the problem that the students are going through, to plead with them, just as I've done before, that they should go back to work, and especially so if the employer gave them a certain roadmap regarding how the payment plan will be effected, they should consider it and go back to work.
Right. Thank you so much. Austin Game is a labor consultant. Let's still stay on some agitation-related issues this evening, because for 41 days, academic and administration active services have come to a complete halt. The Teacher Training Association of Ghana, TTAG, has been sharing the challenges they are faced with as a result of the strike. Abdul Razak Swali is the president of TTAG.
Teacher trainings in all the 46 public colleges of education. Yes, it hasn't been that easy, because ever since the declaration of the strike action, students have been left their own fate with no certainty, because the uncertainty in the colleges keep being on the rise. We don't know when our teachers will be back to the classroom. We are equally left with no adults, because we can't even go through books or whatever, because you don't have whatever that the reading material, the course manual. You are aware that the strike came into force on the 14th of June. That was last month.
Right.
And the colleges resigned on the 9th of last month. So it's just a week after resumption that SITA went on strike. So reading materials and other things have not been provided to us as students. So making it very difficult to do reading our own. And then we received an update. We just received a notice from our teachers saying that they fighting the strike. That is by withdrawing all services. And this really has come to affect us much because even from the onset that the strike, they declared the strike, you can attest with me that even supervision in the colleges, some of these tutors serve as self-tutors, some serve in their various capacities in the colleges, and then students are left on their own pace because there's nobody to regulate their activity. You would hear this tragically lost her life at teaching mine for a student from Atebubu College of Education. If these teachers were in the classroom or in this level 400 students who are currently living on their own, committed themselves to rental agreements outside the colleges, are left to their fate because there's no supervisor to, and they've made everything they are doing, they are just on their own. So the effects are enormous, and then they are worrying because students have, for the past 41 days now, students have not had access to education, even though we say as a country education is a right, and then here we are not getting the services. We feel that the attempts of government or the agency with which this matter deserves is not being given because Minister, we applaud the Minister for Education for the efforts so far, but we feel there is still more to be done because our teachers, these awards have been given to them somewhere years ago in 2022. D for implementation is
in this 41 days that your teachers have not been in class. What have you been doing as students, really?
Yes, it's been worrying because we are at a point where we can't abandon the colleges and go home because I'm not the throwing away the academic calendar or leaving to our various homes is the last thing we would want to do, even though some of our students have started going home. But we don't want us to get to a point where the academic calendar would be thrown away. Then we would have to come back next year to be doing what we are doing now. Because if we say we should go, the colleges should go down to vacate, and then we'll come back and do whatever we are supposed to do. We are supposed to be doing this year. That will be next year. Because of this strike, it will really not sit down well with students because students have already done their budgets or whatever for this semester, knowing very well that the semester ends on September 7th. And then some have committed themselves, like I said, to rental agreement. That's level 400 students. So if you say we should come back next year to continue our academic activities, that will mean that there will be extra costs. It will result in students with whatever illicit activities to get whatever. Because you can attest with me what we've gotten through as a country. The economic situation in the country is not that friendly. And then these students, with their parents are handling to get whatever to keep them in the colleges. Yet still academic activities is not ongoing. We just appealing to the government to as quickly as possible address this need. We were relieved when the outcome of the meeting. We got in touch with some of our tutors, and then they gave us some reassurance that the employer was ready to dialogue. The employer showed some commitment, which we are happy to hear, and hoping that by we hear something positive from our teachers.
Let's stay a bit further on this development because while the National President of the Union of Ghana Students, NOKS, Daniel Opong Treme, has been speaking. Let's have a conversation with him on the back of that. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Treme.
Thank you very much.
You have said that the freezing of the July salaries of the SITAG members is unnecessary. Why do you say that?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I extend warm greetings to Ghanaian students listening to this session. In the heat of events where now there are issues of speakers presenting their genuine issues of their conditions of service, and then government also presenting their plea, I feel it is quite unnecessary in the heat of events when our academic calendar is almost at the tail end of being truncated. Students are stranded on the various campuses and are all waiting on our teachers to come back and then continue teaching or restore everything to normalcy. And then then GTEC comes in and then add more salt to the injury, which escalates these matters. Now, upon the release, the teachers also made a release of withdrawing all their services, which at a point, as we always put it, if two elephants are fighting, it's always the grass that suffers. We continuously wallow in all these suffering because of these issues. So we feel it was very unnecessary for JPEC, I should say, freezing the account of these teachers or freezing the salaries, the July salaries of these teachers who are battling for their conditions of service to be made. So we feel that should be withdrawn as soon as possible, as we still find amicable ways in solving this canker. Because yesterday, CITAG, Brinkhoff, the Ministry of Education met, and per the in discussions and per the information I'm getting, there's a likelihood our teachers from next week on will be getting back to class. The issues of JPEC freezing salaries, I'm told, has all be withdrawn, and I feel, it's in the right direction to get our teachers back to the various classrooms.
If you say, or do you suggest that, after they return to class, should they continue with the academic calendar, or the whole calendar should be annulled? Because 41 days of inactivity is quite worrisome.
All right, so we are proposing for an adjustment, not totally scrapping everything off and starting again, because we started the academic calendar and we got into a certain section where at a point of them we're even preparing for exams. At this moment, it will be very difficult to say that outrightly when we enter school we should start exams. No, there should be an adjustment. There should be, a door that will be open to accommodate most of the things that has been lost over these past 3 to 4 weeks. So we are asking for an adjustment of the academic calendar. If we scrap everything up and we start all over again, it will turn the whole academic calendar down. So what we are asking is that we open up a door and then we keep some dates off to, cater for all these issues that have come. Currently, as we speak, our level 400 or 300 who are on their out program, who went to rent apartments for their out program, all these apartments rented have all gone waste. And at the point, they are asking themselves, what's the next step? If we don't review or if we don't adjust the academic calendar, it's going to greatly affect this level 400 who funds these rented places from their own pocket without the support of the teacher training or even the government. So if you don't make an adjustment, it's going to affect all these group of people. It's going to affect those who are at the verge of writing their exams and even going to discuss the whole itinerary of students who find themselves in these places.
Thank you so much for those submissions there. Daniel Opontreme is the president of NUKS.
Star Today, first, fast, and credible.
You're still listening to Star Today here on Star FM. Let's do some other stories now, because a group calling itself Group Stand for Peace, Growth and Development has condemned assertions by the Electoral Commission chairperson that political parties should accept the outcome of the 2024 general election. According to the group, the transparency of the electoral process in the upcoming December polls in Ghana will play a crucial role in preventing potential violence from disgruntled party members and their supporters. The group further cautioned the Electoral Commission to act as an independent referee with specific reference to the numerous questions released about the impartiality of the commission. Well, this comes after the chairperson of the commission, Jean Adequoy-Mensah, urged contesting political parties to accept the outcome of the upcoming December 7 polls, assuring the elections will be peaceful and transparent. While speaking after a football match between Kotoko and Hearts during Parliament's commemoration of 30 years of democracy, Jean insisted the electoral processes are as transparent as a football match.
We're all mindful of the fact that we stand at the dawn of yet another election, the 2024 general election. And therefore, this initiative to promote and trumpet peace in Ghana, across the 16 regions of Ghana, is a laudable one. We applaud the Speaker and the leadership for the Democracy Cup that will culminate in the playing of a football match this afternoon at the Accra Sports Stadium. And I believe the essence of the cup is to demonstrate to the citizenry, and particularly the youth, that elections is also a contest. And at the end of the day, parties put in their very best But at the end of the contest, at the end of the match, one emerges the winner. And just as the football match is conducted in an open and transparent manner, so are the electoral processes of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. From the very beginning, the registration through to the collation and the declaration of the results, our processes are also undertaken in an open and transparent manner, involving key stakeholders, i.e. the political parties, the security agencies, and the citizenry. And it is also done in an open and transparent manner. And so just like the football match, we serve as the midwives that birth the elections. We are the referees that conduct and that lay the election and the processes that lead to, the election day itself. And so as referees, we are committed to, ensuring that our activities from now in the lead up to the election and all our electoral processes are transparent, they are open, they are fair, and they are involve the collaboration of our key stakeholders, i.e. the political parties and the citizenry. So like the referee of the match this afternoon, we commit to ensuring transparency in all aspects of our work. Our activities are open, as I mentioned, right from the registration through to the declaration of elections. Everything is done in the full glare of the public. Nothing is hidden. And we will commit to this, to maintaining and ensuring that level of transparency across all aspects of our work. And so we also want to entreat and call upon the contestants of the election to accept the outcomes of the election. Surely there will be a winner and surely there will be losers. And so we all call on our contestants to accept the outcomes of the elections, because we undertake and we commit to ensuring that the elections are free, they are fair, they are credible, they are transparent, and they are peaceful. So this is the commitment of the Electoral Commission, and it's a commitment that I make on behalf of the entire team, not only 1,700 permanent staff, but on behalf of our over 220,000 temporary staff, that we would undertake our activities in transparency, in fairness, with accountability, and with integrity. And we believe that at the end of the day, the key contestants and the citizenry would affirm that the elections have indeed been fair and credible.
That was Jean Mensah, the Commissioner of the Electoral Commission. Let's now engage Executive Director of a group calling itself Group Stand for Peace, Growth and Development, Happy Agbenyenu. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Now, the EC clearly gave here assurances of conducting a transparent election. What are your concerns with that?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me kindly use your platform to say a very good evening to your cherished listeners and all peace-loving Ghanaians. But before that, let me make this correction. Please, this is Maxwell Kukwade Nunku. I'm the General Secretary. Mr. Happy Agbenyenu is the Director of the group. Group stands for Peace, Growth and Development. Just as our name suggests, we are a group of individuals, other civil society groups and organizations that have come together to ensure that this nation's most priceless resource, which is the peace that we all have, will be preserved, protected, and maintained at all costs. If you listen to the remarks that Mrs. Jane Mensah did make, it does appear that she is suggesting that if you are defeated, accept the result, irrespective of how that defeat comes about. We are happy that she herself is aware of the fact that the election result is not an event, but a whole lot of processes that lead to that culmination, which is the result that comes on a particular day. Acceptance of that result is a function of the fairness and transparent nature of the processes that lead to that result. So if the processes are not fair, it will be very difficult for the participants or the contestants in any election to accept the results. Now, if you are any group that is interested in the maintenance of peace in any particular country, then you will be worried. If you have any cause to believe that the Electoral Commission that is mandated to referee, not to partake in an election in a particular country, per its actions and inactions, there is certain suggestion to seem that there are certain elements of unfairness and lack of transparency in their dealings. Because if you're a referee in a match and you know that you are applying the rules just as they should be, and you have ensured that there is complete neutrality on your part, it wouldn't be you to indicate that the players should accept the outcome of the game. They themselves will accept it because they will attest to the fairness of the process. So it's the main sense indication that the political parties should accept the outcome. Is she aware that maybe their actions and inactions have been unfair to some of the political parties, and so she is trying to condition the minds of some of the parties to accept the outcome irrespective of what the processes might be. You would recall that somewhere March or April this year, there was that revelation that the BVDs and some other machines in the custody of the EC are missing. When that revelation came up, initially, the EC told us, oh, it's not true. There was a complete denial. Then later on, they told us that, oh, they are mere laptops that are missing. But when the public outcry persisted, the EC admitted that indeed some 5 DVDs are missing. That certainly is not a posture of a commission that is committed to ensuring that there is transparency with respect to the public who are the major stakeholders in their dealings. And if the EC is not transparent, it will be a serious threat to the peace that we have in this country. And that is why we are calling on the EC to ensure that the processes that lead to the election, they should ensure that there is fairness, there is transparency at every step on the way, so that it wouldn't be them to tell the parties to accept the outcome, but the parties themselves, knowing how fair and how transparent the process has been, will accept the outcome.
Now, when you say in your statements that while we acknowledge the innovations aimed at ensuring credible elections, the true litmus paper lies in the verdicts of the Ghanaian electorate, what exactly do you mean? Do you doubt the EC's credibility?
We don't doubt the EC's credibility, but what we are saying is that certain actions and inactions of the current EC have left much to be desired about their transparent and fair nature. Because if you have an EC that appears not to listen to the parties that they are working with, you'll recall that for the very first time in this country, we had a major opposition party, being the NDC, boycotting IPAC meeting for so many months. And the EC said that, oh, it was okay, there was nothing wrong. You'll also recall that in the current limited registration exercise, some of the political parties demanded for the serial numbers of the BVDs that were used across the country. The EC, in series of explanations that they gave, refused to provide the parties with those serial numbers. These are public records, and so we don't see why the EC will insist on not releasing them to the public. You know, records that should be made available to the public, and that would not be the first time that the EC had done so. So if the EC is doing these things, then it does suggest that it's as if the EC has certain cockroaches in its cupboard.
I mean, Maxwell, you are also expecting the EC to educate the public on the upcoming elections. What exactly are your expectations?
Well, we are not expecting just the EC, but we are expecting all peace-loving Ghanaians, all groups and organizations, civil society groups, the NCCE, to ensure that they educate the masses about all the processes that lead up to the 2024 general election and by extension the declaration of the results. Because if, as a voter, I understand the process and I know everything that goes on, that means that I can follow the processes from the very beginning to the end. And so if something is not going right, I can speak to it. And if everything also goes as it should, I will be very much aware of the process. And in by so doing, we will all ensure that the processes are fair. And it is that fairness that will guarantee the acceptance of the outcome of the results. And that will also go to preserve the peace that we have in this country.
Thank you so much for those updates there. Maxwell Kunedua Daimununkum is the General Secretary of Group Stands for Peace and Growth Development.
Star Today, first, fast, and credible.
This is still Star Today here on Star FM. Let's head to the quarters of the legislature because the ranking member of Parliament's Finance Committee and Boga Central MP Isaac Adongo has once again challenged assertions by government the current economic crisis is as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war as Parliament begins its debate on the mid-year budget statement presented by Finance Minister Mohamed Amin Adam. Mr. Adongo, who drew the first blood in the debate, says the Bank of Ghana prior to the 2020 COVID-19 had warned the country was on pace to enter into an economic ditch. He alleges the government in 2018 truncated the then IMF program because it had derailed some targets.
This government has been at pains to explain that it is because of COVID-19 that is why we're in this situation that we find ourselves. But the Bank of Ghana issued a statement indicating that as at the time that we exited the program in May 2019, the government of Ghana 5 months later was struggling with major concerns within the fiscal environment. And so for anybody to assume that our challenges were attributable to COVID-19, the governor in his statement said that it was because of fiscal expansion and that we were reckless in our fiscal, which was the reason why we had the problems we had. But Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that when the Minister for Finance appeared before us to deliver the statement regarding the mid-year review, he did not provide any hope to the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, there wasn't even a single measure that could help alleviate the suffering of them. By the time the minister left, the fact still remained that the dollar was exchanging at almost 16 cedis to the cedi. By the time he left, it was obvious that we were buying diesel at 15 cedis to the liter. By the time the minister left, the reality remained that they mismanaged this economy to register a depreciation in the cedi of about 54% in 2022. The fact still remains that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in 2016 ran this economy without picking even 1 penny of printed money from the central bank. Mr. Speaker, by November 2018, the government had already derailed the program of the IMF and was beginning to print money even way back in 2018. Mr. Speaker, this was against the Memorandum of Understanding that was signed between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. So clearly, the printing of money has been their stock of trade all this while. Mr. Speaker, when they appeared before us, they tried to create the impression that they had something new to offer. Mr. Speaker, I did not see anything new.
You just heard Isaac Adongo, who is a ranking member on Parliament's Finance Committee. But the Minister for State at the Finance Ministry, Abna Osei-Asare, challenged the claims made by Isaac Adongo. She insists the government has been transparent and remains on track in living within its means. Abna Osei-Asare is the Deputy Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's one important thing that we fail to recognize every time. It is the structural reforms that we have put in place to get to where we are. Prior to 2017, we never had reports on the audit reports, audit committee reports, the mid-year review, and all the other things. But since 2017, this government has been subjected to many reports which we had to bring to Parliament, and clearly tells you that we have promoted transparency and accountability under this government. An update on the IMF program, Mr. Speaker. Clearly, let me put it on record that we never derailed the IMF program prior to 2022. We were on track and we completed fully the IMF program prior to 2020, Mr. Speaker. And again, currently, the IMF program that we are currently on, clearly everything points to the fact that we are on track. We just received our third tranche of $360 million, bringing the total disbursement to $1.56 billion. Mr. Speaker, we went through a successful review somewhere in April, and then on June 28th, the approval came for the third tranche to be released. Mr. Speaker, we look forward to a very successful review again come end of September, end October. My friends on the other side don't know what they are talking about, but I am talking to the data. I'm not talking to their feelings, but to the data that I have in front of me, and it's consistent with what I'm saying. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are on track. We have not derailed the IMF program. Unlike our friends who we saw derail the IMF program that cost so much to the nation way back in 2016. That is not what we are doing. We are bent on keeping, we are bent on staying within the limits that have been approved for us, and we are bent on agreeing and living within the targets that we have set for ourselves under the IMF program.
You just heard the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abna Osei Asare. Well, still on the ongoing debate, and Isinafo South MP and ranking member of the Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs Committee of Parliament, Eric Opoku, has taken a swipe at Cocoa Board for declining the growth figures in the cocoa sector.
In paragraph 102, they are talking about declining growth in the cocoa sector. Just because they are saying that in the first half of this year, the cocoa subsector has declined by 20.2%. Just because this is too huge. But surprisingly, at a time that cocoa production is declining, administrative expenditure is ballooning. Mr. Speaker, in 2021, cocoa production peaked at 1,047,000 metric tons. And then administrative expenses was 1.7 billion Ghana cedis. In 2022, cocoa production declined by 34% to 683,000. But Mr. Speaker, administrative expenditure increased to 2.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, 2023, cocoa production declined further to 654,000. 654,000 cocoa production. Administrative expenditure increased again to 3.4 billion. So they are spending the monies in their offices, neglecting production, neglecting all the cocoa production. Mr. Speaker, so the reason why cocoa production is declining is because of the fact that they are spending all the resources in their houses. Mr. Speaker, I want to read exactly what the Auditor General has provided. Report of the Auditor General, 2023. There's a paragraph 1400, and it reads, administrative expenses increased by 28.8% to 3.4 billion in 2023 from 2.6 billion in 2022. And this was largely attributed to an increase in expenses for head office and divisions operations. There's a head office expenditure. Do you grow cocoa at the head office?
But Chairman of the Finance Committee and Okaikwe Central MP says government was honest with the citizenry and the current numbers give hope to the country.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance was very honest with the good people of Ghana by putting together the real picture that confronts us. We on this side of the House are not oblivious of the sufferings of Ghanaians. We are aware. That comes with leadership and how to surmount or assuage the plight of Ghanaians. We are aware of the happenings in the market. We are aware of the happenings within the civil service and other public institutions. Mr. Speaker, the data provided by the Minister gives hope and confidence to the good people of Ghana that this party, the MPP party and MPP government, is the party that will be able to take Ghana to the next level, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to comments from the other side, even the best growth figures reported under the NDC before they exited in 2016 was 3.4%, Mr. Speaker. Coming out of COVID and making sure that we've stayed within the parameters of the IMF program, the same IMF has revised the growth rate of the country to 4.7%, Mr. Speaker.
You just heard Patrick Boama, the Member of Parliament for Okaikwe Central. You're still listening to Star today. Let's do some other stories now. And ECOWAS leaders are being urged to prioritize regional integration and bilateral partnerships in order to enhance energy security. This is a proposal of Minister of State Designate at the Energy Ministry, Herbert Krapper, who spoke at the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Forum. He wants leaders to shift more towards a clean energy.
Through the adoption by the heads of state of a master plan for the West African Power Pool for the period 2019 to 2033, strategies have been adopted to generate 16,000 megawatts and build 23,000 kilometers of transmission lines by 2033. The move is targeted at harnessing all energy potentials of the sub-region for a cheaper and sustainable electricity to spur industrial growth.
Ebeto ho ebehia say the common tariff ebeto ebehia so say ebedi nkita ho wo na ekoso wo nkro ni bi mu ene ebehwe kwan a yebeyi electricity nsem e free the ekoso ewo nkro ni bi mu unim say in the Sahel region no tokwa ni governance ni coup d'etat nsem bi epie mu wo ho but electricity no de ho hia say impuntuo ebetimi aba depending on regardless of the cost war sa amai nyina ka ho ne aba be hie mu ha ne ya yedinkita ho na megidi se we dwumedi be wie no ye benya ntiase e wo kwan ye be fa so ahwe sansemi kwan ye be fa so ahwe se solar ni wind ni hydro electricity mix in Modudo.
Chairman of the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, Koku Laurent Tosu, who also spoke at the forum, said the pursuit of energy security requires a holistic approach that addresses geopolitical dynamics.
So today is to share with all the stakeholders, mainly utilities, operators, regulators, the ministries of all the country, part of the region, what we have done since the creation of the institution. So today we will talk about the interplay within the national independence and the principle of the electricity market.
Speaking with the media, the Executive Secretary of the PURC, Dr. Ishmael Aka, said the provision of cheaper energy is non-negotiable.
So when you look at the ECOWAS region, there are few factors affecting our energy supply. So on the good side, there are very good sources of energy. So we see some countries having abundance of hydro, we see solar. When you go to Nigeria, they have one of the largest reserves of gas that can even supply the region. But there are other issues, including security issues, including infrastructure, inadequate, especially transmission infrastructure that will link one country to the other. So I think the purpose of this forum is to look at how we can attract investment, one into generation and two into transmission infrastructure.
The forum, which is being attended by players in the energy sector across the ECOWAS sub-region, is themed Electricity Trade Security in ECOWAS region, the interplay between national policies and free markets principles.
Now, stakeholders at this year's OMI STEM Fair, held in the Volta region, have called on government and industry to pay critical attention to the creative innovations of young people. The fair, which was held at the St. Paul Senior High School in Denu, saw the exhibition of some incredible ideas and projects from the participants who were drawn from some basic schools and senior high schools in the region.
This year's Volta STEM Fair marks the third edition of the program, which is being spearheaded by a non-profit organization, Opportunity Risk Management Institute. The program, since its inception, has provided the platform for school children to mold their creative and innovative ideas into practical projects in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. For the 2024 event, which took place at the St. Paul Senior High School in Denu, it was the project of a 17-year-old JHS pupil that caught the attention of most patrons.
I use plastic waste to design the engine. So I can't go and buy the engine. The price is high. So I want to make engine in myself. Before I spark, it's use Ghana card. It's using Ghana card before you can spark it. But like if you don't put Ghana card inside, it can't spark. Unless you put Ghana card inside before it can spark. If you want to drive, you have gear over here. Gear. So if you change the gear, first gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse, neutral, until like if you change the gear, the gear system will show in the dashboard. I can make it big. I can make it and we can use it in the road, but I don't have materials. That is why I make it small.
Some of the participants have been appealing to government to integrate their projects into solving some of the problems that currently confront the country.
We, the girls in the last STEM in the Robotics Club, we don't see our AI trash bin to be just any kind, but a symbol of our commitments to technology, innovation, and sustainability. Would actually like the Ministry of Sanitation and the national authorities to integrate our projects into our societies to help create a better world for future generations to come.
According to some judges, the fair has seen significant improvement in terms of the outputs of the participants.
Made the student to do a PowerPoint presentation. That is one of the things that we did to improve on last year's own. And for the project aspect, we have some new ideas in the system. You can see that the children really prepared, and most of the things that we are seeing or we saw today are way beyond last year. Last year, excuse me to say, we saw a lot of charms, but this year there are a lot of innovative ideas. The children really gave us the fact that they have, if given the opportunity, there are a lot that they have up there to help solve problems in our society.
The OMI STEM Fair is inspired by the exploits of Madame Stella Aku Atakpa, who worked with the International Atomic Agency for several years until she went into retirement.
The main objective of the program is to have students use tools from the community to invent products for the community. So in the end, we realized that we didn't want students to just do gadgeteering, go buy gadgets and come and put them together. That's not what we want. We want their own creativity to come out. So this is actually the reason that informed my decision to go into this, meaning that we want to have students, delve deep into themselves to bring out their own creative abilities.
Star Today, first, fast, and credible.
Let's do some sports updates now, because Nurien Akufo-Addo has pledged financial support for FC Samatex as they prepare for their maiden participation in the CAF Champions League, while the league champions of Ghana paid a courtesy call on the president at the Jubilee House to present the trophy to him and seized the opportunity to inform the president of their debut campaign in Africa. Samatex began their journey in Africa against Cameroonian champions Victoria United on August 16. President Akufo-Addo pledged to support the team and congratulated them for winning the league.
For me, but I'm very happy for you. I want to congratulate all of you, the chief and Mr. Manager, business developer, captain, and the players, all of you, on a great achievement. And you're about to go now into the continental tournament. It's been some time since we had a winner on the continental tournament, and perhaps we have the opportunity to be that. But we must all support you. And I think that the demand you're making for assistance from government on this continental journey is not misplaced. Yes, and between the Minister for Youth, myself, and the Finance Minister, we'll see what we can do to help. But help, we must help. Yeah, it's a national assignment that you're undertaking. You're waving the flag of Ghana. So we too have to do what we can to support you. Times are not the best as far as money is concerned. But I always like Dr. Buzia's statement, Kafu Didi. So we'll do our best to help.
Now, the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, has commended the local organization committee of the 13th edition of the African Games held in Ghana in March. For the first time in the history of the country, Ghana welcomed over 13,000 athletes and officials from across Africa at 10 venues and clinched an impressive 69 medals. Akufo-Addo shared his excitement with the local organizing committee led by the sports minister and Dr. Kweku Fuswasare, who visited the Jubilee House on Wednesday to express their gratitude.
And I have to confess, the very first time that you and your team came here to press the case for these games, I was very impressed by you. I was impressed by your commitment, your passion, and also the articulation. It clearly demonstrated that given the opportunity, you could do it. And it is on that basis that I also had the confidence to go forward at the AU, at the Sababa, and elsewhere to insist that we're going to do it and that we will do it well. Nothing is one of the things that is the highlight of my presidency is the way in which my fellow peers, my fellow presidents across the country have been congratulating me wherever I go on the success of the Africa Games. These are what, the 13th, is it? The 13th edition of the African Games, that they went very, very well. And the whole continent has felt enhanced and elevated by it. This very weekend, Musa Faki Mahamat, who's the president of the AU Commission, was talking about the Games. Yes.
That was the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo there. Now let's take some updates from the foreign front as the U.S. President, Joe Biden, has reiterated calls for unity within his party in his first televised address from the Oval Office on Wednesday night. His first public comment since he abruptly ended his re-election bid on Sunday. He spoke on his humble route, sang the praises of the American people, and added that the future of American democracy lies in their hands. He, however, failed to provide a direct explanation for the biggest question of the day, which is why he has become the first incumbent president to abandon a re-election bid just a few months before voting begins.
George Washington showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me. And
That does it for this edition of Star Today here on Star FM. For more news updates, log on to starfm.com. And a big thank you to my production team led by Edem Kojo, Prince Essien, Benjamin Saki, and Emmanuel Donko for making this stream possible on our socials. My name is Tutu Wadan, so have a good evening.